So the crashes make a lot more sense once we get into the actual technical piece of how to do it. We'll talk about some standard ways of doing it, some open stance ways of doing it, and then how to make it happen in MMA. But let's start with the standard and the most obvious and easy one, the overhand. Okay, so me and Elias are fighting. All right, say me and Elias are fighting in a way where, okay, so let's actually get into this first. There's fight range, and then there's like spar, play around range. Okay, right now, you want to take a step towards me? Me and Elias are in like play range. Okay, like we can be cool. We can like play the game of like fighting here a little bit. This is not the range that I stand in when I'm fighting. When I'm fighting, if me and Elias are in this range, shit is going down. Okay, like we're not gonna stand in this range without like trying to murder each other. We're so close, and most people, especially now, like because MMA has become just super popular and kickboxing, like you have really good athletes doing this sport now. So standing in this range is just like just sketchy. Okay, standing at about this range where Elias needs to take a step at me before he can hit me. He can't just, like I was just talking about, hit me without taking any steps, okay? So again, the bigger I make the gap, the more reaction time, and that's really what your brain is like registering as time, which is kind of a cool way to look at time just in general, where there's like time, but then there's your brain's like perception of time and reaction time, and how you can like shrink that and make that bigger and smaller. Like here, a lot less reaction time, so I'm kind of like shrinking down time, pretty cool. And then if I'm a little bit further, I'm like making time last a lot longer because I have a lot more time to react. But anyways, this is my fight range, okay? I'm about one step away from hitting Elias, and he's about one step away from hitting me, okay? So when we crash, what that means is me and Elias both take a step at each other, okay? That's what a crash is, all right? I don't necessarily, in order to crash with Elias, need to make a motion forward. Like we'll talk about in a second, there's ways to do that that don't require me to take any steps forward. But a lot of the time this happens, and again, it doesn't happen on purpose. Guys start fighting, they both take a step in, and then it's just fucking madness. And if you're on the unlucky end of it, you get knocked out. If you're on the lucky end of it, you don't get knocked out. But that doesn't make it right or wrong. It just means like, cool, you got away with it a couple times, but that will not last forever, okay? So the overhand, all right? And we'll just do it over the jab just to, you know, do it in the most basic way possible so that it's really digestible. But Elias steps at me and throws his jab. Boom, okay? His opening, go ahead again, freeze, boom. His opening is, of course, here, and then like maybe if I slip to the inside or do something there, okay? But when Elias jabs at me and I take my step in, me moving my target to a spot that isn't where it can get jabbed, boom. If I go to overhand like this and I don't move my head, that like looks stupid and it gets you hit, okay? So don't do that. I take my target, and this applies for all of the crashes. I take my target as I take my step in, and I move it to where it's not going to get hit, okay? It can still get hit with some shit. Like if Elias were to like feint a jab and then throw a knee or something, boom, that would get hit. But on the jab, you're definitely super safe to throw the overhand, but you really have to be careful because leaving your head in this spot can get like a little sketchy really quick. But definitely a super easy and like really good way to start understanding how to crash with people. So Elias throws his jab. I take my head, I put it in a safe spot. At the same time, I want to throw my own attack because Elias's position is compromised a little bit. Right now, he has pretty good position, but he's not covering all of his targets right now. You can never cover all of your targets and still attack at the same time. You can do your best. Like here, I'm like pretty shelled up, but I'm definitely not as safe like this as if I'm like this. So although Elias is throwing like a good jab and his face is covered and everything, that doesn't necessarily mean that he's in position because he's opening up and giving me some targets. So that's what I mean by that. So when Elias jabs, boom, I put my head in a safe spot and I throw my punch here. The less distance I throw this with, the more likely I am to hit Elias, okay? The more distance that I loop with this, the more Elias has time to react, okay? So if I'm throwing my punches like way out here like this, you might feel like you're punching super strong, and maybe you even are punching super strong, but no one gives a shit how hard you can hit if you can't actually hit the target that you're aiming at the time that you want it to happen, okay? And like, people are kind of fragile. Like, humans are like pretty fragile. Not all of them, but you don't need to like hit someone with 100% your hardest punch in order to be able to hurt them or feel like you're winning. Like, a lot of the time, some of my like best knockouts in the gym and like in fights have, that kind of sounded a little fucked up. I don't knock too many people out in the gym. Have I knocked you out?
You haven't knocked me out.
Oh, okay. Haven't knocked Elias out. A lot of the times when I'll like hit someone real good, a lot of and like they wobble and they get hurt or they go down or whatever, it was 100% on accident because I wasn't trying to chuck as hard as I can. So don't feel like you have to do that in order to actually hurt someone, because that's not true, okay? So Elias throws his jab, boom. The shorter this goes, the better. If I can throw this, like if Elias's punch comes out, if I can throw this like right directly on this line to his face, obviously the less distance, the quicker the punch is, okay? If I, go ahead, loop this way long like this, that gives Elias a little bit of time to react. And it might not be the best reaction, but if he rolls his shoulder the way that he did, like that might be enough for me to not land that punch and for it to not hurt him. Where if I go here and I keep everything super tight, that is a really difficult thing for Elias to get out of the way of, especially when he's already committed to an attack here, okay? So Elias jabs, I take my target, I move it here. When I throw my overhand, I try to make it the least amount of distance that I can, okay? He goes, boom, least amount of distance, not like this. That's sloppy and you'll probably hit with your fingers and it's a shit punch. Boom, and I'm here. My target is safe. I'm doing this on purpose because I knew that Elias was going to throw his jab, and that's a really good way to start to understand the crash. Another way that we're going to understand the crash is with an elbow, okay? So obviously, like, this was super pronounced in the Song Yadong fight that I had. Again, this is one of those techniques. You don't need to blast these in order to hurt people. When I was fighting Yadong, I feel like I barely hit him, honestly. Like, if I hit your glove, I feel like it was literally this hard. And it cut his eye and it won me the fight. Like, that's how hard you technically need to do some of these things, especially with elbows. Like, elbows are already pointy. Your head is like not a very like muscular or like fatty area, so it doesn't take much for cuts to happen. And when you're talking like hitting with bone, when you're punching with like a glove, like it's softer, it's like kind of slippery, but like your bone is your bone, and you don't need to hit people very hard in order to hurt them or to cut them or anything, especially with elbows. So another way that we're going to crash. And the elbow I'm demonstrating as crashing, not by moving my head into a safe spot, because when I threw the overhand, I'm moving my head into a spot where it doesn't get hit. With the elbow, I'm crashing, but I'm doing it safely because I'm keeping my head and my important target, the one that gets me knocked out and embarrassed, covered, okay? So when Elias, we're at fight range, when Elias takes a step in, I'm just crashing with my elbow here, okay? Again, you don't need to throw it that hard. You're going to feel a little bit weird, or at least I kind of did when I was first learning this attack. Like, you're going to want to like really like rotate like this. That's not what it's about. You don't need to hit these very hard. It's just super tiny. Elias takes a step in, I throw my attack. If he throws a left hook, boom, I land this. If he throws a right hook, boom, I land this. If he starts to throw straight things, obviously, boom, I need to start thinking different types of crashes. But with the round attacks or someone stepping in to shoot or whatever, boom, this is a really, really good option for that. So that's our elbow crash. Good? All right. What's up, guys? Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the content, please make sure that you like and subscribe below. If you guys want to see more stuff like this, please comment. Let me know what you guys want to see more of, and I can make more of that content. If you found this helpful and you want to learn more, I just dropped my first, I did it again. What is wrong with me? If you found this helpful and you want to learn more, I just dropped my first instructional series. Make sure that you guys hit the link below. Finally, shout out to my sponsor, Sheath, that made all of this content possible. Peace.